I will venture, however, to assert some broad facts. I shall be delighted if the government are able to contradict them. I first assert that Germany has already, in violation of the treaty, created a military air force, which is now nearly two-thirds as strong as our present home defense air force. That is the first statement which I put before the government for their consideration. The second is that Germany is rapidly increasing this air force, not only by large sums of money, which figure in our estimates, but also by public subscriptions, very often almost forced subscriptions, which are in progress and have been in progress for some time all over Germany. By the end of 1935, the German Air Force will be nearly equal in numbers and efficiency. And after all, no one must underrate German efficiency, because there could be no more deadly mistake than that. It will be nearly equal, as I say, to our home defense air force at that date, even if the government's present proposals are carried out. The third statement is that if Germany continues its expansion, and if we continue to carry out our scheme, then sometime in 1936, Germany will be definitely and substantially stronger in the air than Great Britain. Fourthly, and this is the point which is causing anxiety, once they have got that lead, we may never be able to overtake them. If these assertions cannot be contradicted, then there is cause for the anxiety which exists in all parts of the House, not only because of the physical strength of the German Air Force, but I am bound to say also because of the character of the present German dictatorship. If the government have to admit at any time in the next few years that the German air forces are stronger than our own, then they will be held, and I think rightly held, to have failed in their prime duty to the country. I ask therefore for a solemn, specific assurance from the government that at no moment for which they will have responsibility will they fail to have a substantially superior military air force at home to that which they have reason to believe has been set on foot in Germany. Can that assurance be given? Will it be given? I think it will make a great difference to the judgment which must be passed upon these proposals if the government are in a position to say that that is their resolve. But in this connection, we must face some of the facts about German civil aviation and British civil aviation. I am assured that the German civil aviation is 3 or 4 times as large as our civil aviation, but that is only part of the story. British civil aviation is in its character purely commercial. The machines cannot be converted for military purposes without falling far below the standard of war machines. Our civil machines would have little or value if they were to be converted. We are the only country whose civil aviation is so completely divorced from the technical military aspects. The German machines, on the other hand, have been deliberately and scientifically planned by the government for the express purpose of being converted into war machines. Not only have they a speed and design suited for this purpose, going at over 200 miles an hour, but the whole scheme of conversion has been prepared and organized with minute and earnest forethought. I am perfectly ready to be corrected, and no one will be more pleased than I to hear a convincing and overwhelming answer on the subject. But I am informed that the bomb racks, which would be substituted for the passenger accommodation, a great number of these fast German civil machines have already been made and delivered, and it would be a matter of only a few hours to unbolt the one and fasten in the other. The same story can be told about the pilots. Germany has a trained personnel of pilots, which is many times more numerous than our own. Gliders are a wonderful means of training pilots, giving them air sense. There are, I believe, over 500 qualified glider pilots in Germany, whereas we have only about 50 in this country. If therefore you have to add to the regular increase in German military airplanes, which we have to expect, and which I imagine the government are well informed about, and which alone will bring the forces almost to equality by the end of 1935, if you have to add to that an enormous and indefinite transference of pilots and machines from civil to military aviation, It would seem that there is a very obvious danger that before the end of next year we shall be definitely weaker than the German aviation. I've tried to state these facts with moderation, and, as I say, nothing would give me greater pleasure than to learn that I have discovered another mare's nest. I shall rejoice at my own discomfiture if these facts are able to be overturned or superseded by other, more reassuring facts. But unless these facts can be contradicted precisely and categorically, it seems to me that our position is a very serious one, and that not only should we brush aside a vote of censure on this small increase, but that we should urge a much greater degree of action, both in scale and speed, upon the responsible ministers. Our weakness in the air has a very direct bearing on the foreign situation, and on those foreign obligations to which I ventured to refer at the beginning of my remarks. So long as our policy is harmonized with that of France, and that of other countries who were the allies or associates of France, the preponderance against Germany, if Germany became an aggressor, would be so large as to constitute a deterrent against any action, other than action so desperate as to be almost insane. But a new series of questions arises. We must ask ourselves whether we wish to be dependent on France for our domestic safety. We must ask ourselves whether we can accept the protection of a foreign country for any long period of time without losing that freedom to place our own interpretations upon continental obligations, which, it seems to me, is absolutely vital to the sound conduct of our affairs. We have these obligations, but we still have the right to judge according to our sense of justice and the circumstances of the time. I should have thought that the pacifists and the isolationists would have joined His Majesty's government in urging that we should at least make our island independent of foreign protection for its safety. If, however, owing to the long delays to which we have agreed in the hope of arriving at some arrangement at Geneva, we have fallen behind and are not able to put ourselves in a secure position, it seems to me that we must harmonize our policy with that of France and of the other powerful countries who are associated with France. That, it seems to me, is absolutely necessary. What is the course of those who now urge us to pass this vote of censure? They have been doing all that they could to urge France to disarm, and pleaded for German equality of armaments. The honorable gentleman and his followers are the driving force. What I have regretted so much is the attention that has been paid to these evil counsels. The honorable gentleman has shown more sanity than many of those among whom he sits, but undoubtedly the course which honorable gentlemen opposite have adopted would have the effect of weakening France, and if France had disarmed and Germany rearmed, I shudder to think what the state of Europe might be at this very moment. The honorable gentlemen opposite are very free-spoken, as most of us are in this country, on the conduct of the German Nazi government. No one has been more severe in criticism than the Labour Party or that section of the Liberal Party which I see opposite. And their great newspapers, now united in the common cause, have been the most forward in the severity of their strictures. These criticisms are fiercely resented by the powerful men who have Germany in their hands, so that we are to disarm our friends. We are to have no allies. We are to affront powerful nations. And we are to neglect our own defenses entirely. That is a miserable and perilous situation. Indeed, the position to which they seek to reduce us by the course which they have pursued and by the vote which they ask us to take is one of terrible jeopardy, and in voting against them tonight we shall hope that a better path from national safety will be found than that along which they would conduct us.